This is the total anatomy of the respiratory chain. It starts from NAD, FMN, coenzyme Q, cytochrome B, cytochrome C1, cytochrome C, and finally cytochrome AA3. And there is another complex called FAD. So this is the anatomy of the respiratory chain. What is the function of the respiratory chain? How it going to work? Let us discuss within few minutes. So this NAD and FAD, they will actively engage with the dehydrogenation process in different area of the cell, of the tissue, of the system. So what they will do, NAD, FAD will accept hydrogen from the drama of the dehydrogenation. By accepting hydrogen, they will be converted to NADH and FADH. Now these NADH, FADH, after accepting hydrogen on their shoulder, they become simply mad to de-shoulder this hydrogen, and they will form the respiratory chain. On coming to the respiratory chain, NAD will de-shoulder the hydrogen, FAD will de-shoulder the hydrogen to the respiratory chain, and by de-shouldering this hydrogen, NADH will be converted to NAD, FADH will be converted to FAD. Now this free NAD, free FAD again will move to the dehydrogenation process to accept further hydrogen, and thereby to continue the dehydrogenation process so that our biological oxidation can continue to provide ATP to the system. Now what happened? You see, this NAD, FMN, coenzyme Q, FAD, these are called hydrogen carrier, and cytochrome B, C1, C, cytochrome AA3, they are called the electron carrier. So two types of structural elements are there in respiratory chain. Now you look how they are going to work. So this is the dehydrogenation process where NAD take up hydrogen, they become NADH. Now NADH de-shoulder the hydrogen to FMN. FMN de-shoulder hydrogen to coenzyme Q. Similarly, from dehydrogenation process, you can make FADH. Now this FADH will de-shoulder the hydrogen directly to the coenzyme Q. Now on coming to the coenzyme Q, these two hydrogen will break up into two electron and two proton, because every hydrogen contains one electron and one proton. So two hydrogen, two electron, two proton. So coenzyme Q will bifurcate the hydrogen to one proton and one electron. So ultimately two proton, two electron. Now these two electron will be transported to the cytochrome B, C1, C, AA3. And what happens with the two protons? These two protons will float over the body fluid, and these two protons will try to visualize the tracking of the electron. They try to understand what is the route of this electron movement, and they will follow that route. So the route of electron movement is from coenzyme Q to B, C1, C, and ultimately is AA3. So when these two electrons are on the within the disposal of cytochrome AA3, the two protons again come to the point towards the nearby the cytochrome AA3. Now this cytochrome AA3 will allow condensation of these two electrons again with two protons and to make the water in presence of oxygen. So finally there is production of the water in presence of oxygen, right? And during this whole journey of electron movement and hydrogen movement through the respiratory chain, in different steps there are release of energy, release of free energy due to oxidative process, because in every step there is oxidation as well as reduction. Because you think this NAD with hydrogen, they are in oxidized version or reduced version? Reduced version. Now this FMN without hydrogen, is it oxidized version or reduced version? Oxidized version. Now this NAD will deliver the hydrogen to the FMN. So by de-shouldering the hydrogen from NAD become oxidized, and by accepting hydrogen FMN become reduced. So in each and every step of biological oxidation, there is oxidation reduction drama. One get oxidized, another get reduced. So earlier component get oxidized, subsequent component get reduced. So this oxidation reduction drama continues. and during this oxidation reduction drama, there is release of energy. Release of energy. Because it is disordered through the NAD. So in this particular step, there is energy release. This is another step to release energy. This is another step to release energy. Now this released energy is utilized by mitochondria to pump proton from mitochondrial matrix to the intermembrane space. How? You just see. This is the thing. In complex 1, the complex one was the what is that complex one? FD, and it's FD, ND, and its coenzyme is the complex 1. Complex 2 is the FD. It's not going to generate any energy. Now complex 3, cytochrome B, and finally complex 4, cytochrome A. So this energy will be utilized to pump 4 hydrogen in complex 1, 4 hydrogen in complex 3, and 2 hydrogen in complex 4. So there is a pumping of proton from mitochondrial matrix. This is mitochondrial matrix. This is the intermembrane space. So you forget all detailed mechanism. You just simply remember, in all 3 complexes of the respiratory chain, there is release of energy, and this energy is utilized to pump out proton from mitochondrial matrix to the intermembrane space. So automatically there is generation of the high proton gradient from intermembrane space to mitochondrial matrix. In intermembrane space there is a high proton concentration, and within the matrix there is low proton concentration. So there is a favorable concentration gradient of proton from intermembrane space to mitochondrial matrix. Now subsequently, these proton from intermembrane space, they try to diffuse again into the mitochondrial matrix through complex 5, and that complex 5 is known as the ATP synthase present in mitochondrial membrane. ATP synthase. So when this proton moves from intermembrane space to the mitochondrial matrix, again by some very complicated mechanism, there is phosphorylation of ADP to ATP. So ultimately there is formation of ATP. So that's the mechanism how there is ATP synth formation in respiratory chain. And now find that is called chemioosmotic theory. You just remember chemioosmotic theory, but don't go detail about this chemioosmotic theory. Just remember this much. কি মনে রাখবা যে মাইটোকন্ড্রিয়াল ম্যাট্রিক্স থেকে প্রথমে প্রোটন পাম্প হয়ে চলে আসে কোথায়, তারপরে ইন্টারনাল স্পেস থেকে আবার ঢুকে কোথায়, ঢোকার সময় এটিপি হয় না, বাইরের সময় হয়, ঢোকার সময় এটিপি হয়। That's all for you. And what is the complex where there is ATP production? Why? What is the name of that one? ATP synthase. That's all. So this is the summary of the respiratory chain. Substrate, reduced coenzyme, NADH and FADH. Okay. Product, ATP, site, all cells containing mitochondria. Compartment, inner surface of the inner mitochondrial membrane.